Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhinamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yesterday we saw that where the Rudra is, which is one aspect of creation, one aspect of the force of Ishvara, which is destruction. There again you see whole of Ishvara. That is a very important thing. Otherwise you will have what they call the Hinduism has so many different devas.
Polytheism.
Polytheism. So this is where you have to see Ishvara, then it becomes one. In spite of many, it becomes one. So what we saw is that where there is Rudra, there itself there is Ishvara. Therefore, Hiranyagarbha was described, and Hiranyagarbha is, Rudra was said to be Hiranyagarbha, but actually it's Ishvara which is Hiranyagarbha, and it includes everything subtle that has already taken place. But one thing, when we learn Vedanta, we have to be very careful in not misunderstanding what is being said. Because many people, if you say that the entire subtle is Ishvara, so in our mind we imagine that the sum total of everything that the Jiva has thought of is Ishvara. It's not true, because if that was the case, then there would not be any opportunity to know anything new. So that means it is things which are already collapsed and things which are yet to collapse. Very, very important. Otherwise, Ishvara, you will make it into a fixed entity, so next moment something happens will be outside Ishvara. You see? Because at present, there are only this much, but 100 years from now, there will be so many more thoughts, so many more discoveries, there will be so much more. So one has to, whenever one cannot confine Ishvara to any one given thing. That is very important. When you say it is all physical bodies, but you can't take only some of all the physical bodies which are here now, because next moment there are so many new bodies to come. So this is the problem. So that means in that any body which was in the past, in the future, in the present and in the future. So that's why Ishvara can never be, and which is going to happen for cycles of creation. So Ishvara cannot be any fixed thing. This is our problem. We are simplistic in our thinking, so we just say, oh, then Ishvara is just sum total of that. It's not sum total of that. Ishvara is much more than that. And so therefore, this is what we have to see. And this is why I think Yuta asked this question that yes, everything, when we, what we call inventions, what we call new discoveries, these are all available as potential, and potential that we are collapsing. So that means a computer which was not there a few years ago is now there, but what have we done? We have not totally produced things which are there, and there is a potential to create, and we have used our intelligence to collapse that potential, and every time we collapse one potential, we give way for more potentials. So this is how, that's why we build on knowledge. So that means for a longest time there was no car. So now when the car was collapsed, then you have what? You make it more sophisticated, you make more sophisticated engines. So that means you add on something which is already existing. then we come up with, there is a petrol shortage, then we come up with what? Electrical cars, so diesel cars. So that means we collapse possibilities, which then gives way for collapsing further possibilities. And this is how we keep moving. Then nowadays, I think they are going to say, they are saying that in a few years there will be a car where you don't need a driver at all. You just program and the program will actually run. So we constantly are building. There are new and new possibilities which are lying as a potential, and human being using one's intelligence collapses those potentials. So that means Hiranyagarbha is what is in the entire subtle thing which was in the past. And what is interesting is, once Namita, I think 2 days ago, she made a comment, and that is a very true thing, that it's not only that we are building on new knowledge, and of course the knowledge which existed in the past is always stored in Hiranyagarbha, but may not be available now actively in the buddhis of people. So that means there are so many things which have become, you see ancient architecture, which is all there. It was collapsed earlier, but now what? It is no longer, people are not following those methods. Sometimes people even wonder how they built those temples on the hill with no technologies. So that means some technologies which were there, which are also lost in the active mind of people. Please understand, there is a difference. This is why there is a difference between Ishvara Upadhi and Jiva Upadhi. So what was collapsed earlier by some jivas are no longer actively available in the society today. That knowledge is lost. So much, even what they say, that all these handloom industry in India, if we don't encourage and if we don't sustain, all the knowledge of all those workers will be lost. This is a fact. So that means so much knowledge may already have been lost. Even in music, so much music probably is lost. We don't know. But it is lost from human minds, but not from Ishvara. Please understand that. So this is how it always remains as a potential. Anything which is already collapsed is within Ishvara. Anything which is yet to be collapsed, which is also within Ishvara. So this is how one fully understands Hiranyagarbha. Is it clear? Yes. Now, here, so there are two
Can I just
things.
ask you something?
Yeah.
So, when you say it's within Ishvara, you mean it can be sparked off and evoked at any point?
Yeah, it can be. See, that's why so many people, it can be, but it may not be actually available right now. But somebody can, this is why, there are so many people, for example, archaeologists. What are they doing? These civilizations which existed earlier, which are not there, now they are doing research to recreate Mohenjo-daro. So that means they are engaging in research to find out what that society would have been. So that means you can recreate also. That is a possibility because it's all there. Once it's happened, it's there. And which is yet to happen is also there as a potential. Everything, that's why we say everything happens within Ishvara. You can't create, let's say, a horn in a human being if it is not given as a potential. So we only can collapse potentials. We can't just, that's why even research that we do, any new innovations that we do has to be within the order of Ishvara. So the first condition for sending a rocket in the space is what you need to understand what gravity. Otherwise you can't do it. Then you can, the potential for using gravity, that normally what happens, gravity makes you go down. Now you have to create instruments using gravity, you have to go up. So these are all possibilities that are given. If that was not possible, it could not have been done. This is why it's also within Ishvara. So, in that sense, Yuta, I said that we can only operate and collapse possibilities which already exist within Ishvara. But that doesn't mean we don't create anything new. We are constantly collapsing. When we collapse the possibility, that is called invention, which was there as a potential. This is why when Lutz was saying that we not only acquire knowledge which is already existing in somebody's subtle mind, we also, there are people like Newton, Einstein, they create what they come to know new facts which are not right now existing in the minds of people. This is why Ishvara has to, our understanding of Ishvara cannot give any limitation, otherwise we will get stuck. So now, the next thing which then we need to understand is that where there is this Rudra, which is a destructive force, that is Ishvara, but there exactly there is what? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So that means in everything you have to see all three. So this is the next verse. It is saying, Tataha Param Brahma Param Bruhattam Yatha Nikayam Sarva Bhuteshu Gudam Vishyasya Ekam Pariveshtitaram Isham Tam Jnatva Amruta Bhavanti. Okay, so that means you first, it's interesting how you can't, if you don't go step by step, you will miss all the nuances. So first you have to see the destructive force and you have to change your relationship with it. Then you have to ask for what? Help from that force to get rid of your things. Then you have to see that that force is nothing but one manifestation of Ishvara. So wherever there is manifestation, there is whole of Ishvara there. And the next thing is, wherever there is Ishvara, there is truth of Ishvara. This is the method. If you try to just skip everything and Ishvara is just something hanging loose and you don't, it doesn't have any depth, it doesn't have any profundity, it just is like a parrot repeating certain things without really understanding anything. So this is where one has to see that there again there is what Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So that means all knowledge and all power which is unfathomable, which is what not only that destructive force in the universe which I have not created, which is also Hiranyagarbha, which I am not certainly, because my mind has very little understanding of anything actively, but that all knowledge and all power depends upon one reality. That is also not independently existing. It depends upon one reality. And what is that reality? That reality is Chit. So, Chit is awareness. So, the relationship between intelligence, any intelligence and awareness is, intelligence cannot exist without awareness, and awareness is independent of intelligence. So, that awareness, now, how do you know? Veda is telling you that there is awareness, it cannot exist without it. How will you, either you can treat it as belief, which is what Veda is saying it, therefore I am accepting it. That is one way of looking at it. But this is not what you call pramana. Then it will become a book of belief. Pramana means it is what? That awareness, if it was not available to you, then it will become a belief. Now, the point is that awareness is not available to you as an object. So when you see the sun, you can probably understand that there is an intelligence which makes the sun what it is, but you can't see what? Awareness. If you saw awareness, what will happen? Awareness will become an object. So therefore, it cannot be seen. This is why it's a pramana, Veda. So therefore, but if it was totally not available, it will become belief. So neither it is, see, understand, this chit is neither available to you as an object, nor it is something which is a matter of belief. How is it possible? Then, what is the only possibility? Tell me. It is available to you as what? The subject. The only possibility. Only. Either it is totally not available, or it is available as an object, or it is available as subject. Three possibilities. The other two is not possible. Object means it will be subject to what? Time, space, and it's one of the given things in the universe. If it is not available, whole Upanishad will become a belief. So that means this is why it is the biggest puzzle of the universe. It is available to you how? In your buddhi as self-evident time. This awareness, and this is why in pramana operation we do this, who are you? It is very important part of because this awareness which is always there, we miss it. How do we miss it? We miss it because we take ourselves to be the body and mind. So this self-evident awareness is always there, but we always miss it. So very essential part of the prakriya is also what make you see that there is this self-evident awareness. So that self-evident awareness is, how do you see it? The body is changing, but you are aware of those changes. Then the mind is changing, you are aware of those changing thoughts. So therefore, there is one awareness because of which you are able to see what? Changing conditions of the body and mind. Now, you may conclude that there is something personal about this awareness, which is just somehow, even though it is independent of the body and mind, it is still connected in some way to the body and mind. So this is where you have to see, here Upanishad says, hey, what you see in that destructive force, you see Ishvara there, and then there is that awareness, and where is that awareness available to you? In your Hridaya. In your own, the only Upalabdhi Sthanam for this awareness is what? In your buddhi as self-evident time. And you have to figure out that what is available to you as self-evident I is not a small entity, but it is something which pervades everything. This is Vedanta teaching. This is the operation of pramana. It's an intricate operation. It is not simplistic, I'm not this, and then what? It is seeing that what is, that is the truth of what? That Rudra. This is what it says. Hridaya, it is available where it says what? That Tata Para Brahma, where there is this Rudra, there exactly there is Ishvara, which is described as Hiranyagarbha, and that he says that Tataha Param Brahma. So that means there is one more truth there, and that is Para Brahma. And where is that Para Brahma? That is what? Sarva Bhuteshu Gudha. It is as though hiding in not me, but also in all other beings as what? I. So this is how it is. So here he says that Vishwasya Ekam Pariveshti Taram Ishanam. There is only that one thing. There is only one Brahman from which there is what? The as though Ishvara. From Ishvara there is what? One given form or one given force. Ishvara is both the form as well as the force of the universe which governs those forms. So anything in this universe you examine you have to first see that form, then you have to see what Ishvara that makes that form, what that form is, and then truth of Ishvara, which is Satyam Jnanam Anandam. So that means not only in my buddhi this awareness is available as self-evident I, but in your buddhi also it is available as what? Self-evident I. In his buddhi is also available as self-evident I. We conclude that this self-evident I is confined to this body and mind, but actually it is the truth of the whole universe. Methodology. So that Rudra ultimately resolves, the truth of Rudra resolves in what? Awareness, which is, where is it available? In my mind as a self-evident I. It's not connected to the mind, but it's the Upalabdhi Sthanam, the only Upalabdhi Sthanam of this awareness is what? In your mind, not as an object of the mind, but as self-evident I. So, this is mentioned. Is it clear or is it difficult?
Very difficult.
Very difficult? Okay. See the relationship now, I mean I cannot, because see some things that you can't understand now, maybe you'll understand 2 years later, I don't know. But I mean just think about it. Just think about it, that what is the relationship between intelligence and awareness? Can intelligence, whether it is my little intelligence or all intelligence, can it exist without awareness? It's a precondition. Any inert thing, when there is no awareness, there is no possibility of intelligence. So that means intelligence, even though it's all intelligence within which the past exists, the present exists, the potential for the future exists, that is the nature of all intelligence that we are talking about. But that itself cannot exist without awareness. Now, if it cannot exist without awareness, then what that means that there is awareness. Now, if there is awareness, where is it? You can ask this question. Where is it awareness? I don't see awareness. When you see the destructive force of the universe, you only see destructive force of the universe. You don't see awareness. So this is the method that the Upanishad uses. Where you see the destructive force, you are made to see that there is one all knowledge and all power. This destructive force is just one manifestation of that all knowledge and all power. The creative force is also manifestation of that all knowledge and all power. The sustaining force also is what? Manifestation of that all knowledge and all power. So that means you are using destructive force, but you are seeing something more than that, and that is what? The all knowledge and all power, which is much bigger than what? The destructive force, because it encompasses many other forces, not only destructive forces. So then you are seeing that. Then, using Upanishad, you are also saying that all knowledge and all power also is not the ultimate reality. It requires what? Awareness for its existence. Logic. You are using pramana and you are also applying logic. Then you can ask, so if awareness is something upon which the entire thing exists, do I just believe what Upanishad says, or is it a verifiable truth? You have to ask yourself a question. If it was not at all available, if awareness was not at all available to you, it will become what? Belief. It will become belief, because it's not at all available to you. But here, awareness is available to you. How is awareness available to you? Awareness is not available to you as an object. Awareness is available to you as what? I am. Awareness cannot be understood as an object, because if I am other than awareness, then awareness is an object, then who is this person who is objectifying awareness? And without awareness, can the person objectify anything? So you need to ask these questions. These are very intricate inquiries. So that means, and if awareness was available to you as an object, it will just become within time and space, just like any other object. Then awareness cannot be the truth of everything. See, so any given way you look at it, if you make it an object, then who is this subject? And if the subject is independent of awareness, without awareness you cannot objectify anything. That way you will get into trouble. And if you make awareness as an object, then object also you will make it within time and space. So you take it any other way and you will get into trouble. This is how pramana works. You first take it this way and everything fits. If you take it any other way, logically it all falls apart. This is an intricate operation. One has to be very, very clear. One's mind has to reach those words. Otherwise, it takes time.
As I understand, the self-evident I is Atma. And what ahankara of antakarana is there, that is part of the body, subtle body, or it's a mind.
No, but here,
But both are totally separate, right?
What?
Ahankara, I of mind. You know, the jiva, antakarana. Jiva, I. Jiva has ahankara, like 4 parts of the mind. Right? Mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell, I'm listening.
Yeah. So memory, and there are 4 parts of the mind, out of which one is ahankara, where we are associating ourselves with everything that we do.
Okay.
So there is a ahankara there, which is also I, which is a jiva I, with which we live every day. And the self-evident I, which is the observer, everything is happening. So both are totally separate, right?
See, okay. Now what you are saying is, in some ways what you are saying is right. See, what you are saying is that now you are coming to how this awareness is self-evident to us. He's trying to figure out. So which is good, it's good. See, how, because you are right, there is a mind and there are 4 aspects of the mind. So depending upon the function. What are the 4 functions of the mind? One is what we call emotion, which is what we call manas. The second one is buddhi, the cognitive capacity. Then the third thing is a memory. And the 4th thing is ahankara. What is this? Generally, we think that this ahankara is I.
Yes.
Right? Now what Vedanta does is, makes you understand that this ahankara is also not real I. It is actually anything that happens in the mind, whether it is your emotions or your cognitive capacity or your memories, they all get attributed to what? I. And that is the entity. And this is an entity that we all believe we are. And what Vedanta says is, this is just a changing entity.
It's the same.
It's a changing. 1 minute. In fact, you are right. You are using, see, pramana operation cannot be done without the mind. You are using your mind to figure out the truth of the mind. Generally what happens is, you use the mind to know things outside. Now, through Vedanta, what are you doing? You are using the mind. Without mind, nothing can be known. But you are not using the mind to know one of the objects. You are using the mind to know the truth of the mind. So the inquiry is done by the mind. But the subject matter of the inquiry is not an object, but it is the nature of the subject. That is the difference. So therefore, when you use the pramana, then what happens is, this entity that we all take to be I, with the use of pramana, we begin to understand that that is also changing. This is why one day you say, I'm happy, next day you say, I'm not happy, third day you say, I'm jealous, 4th day you say, I'm angry. So that means these are all changing things. So we use the logic to make you see that if you were intrinsically sad, you can't give up sadness. If you were intrinsically angry, you can't give up anger.
It will become permanent.
Exactly. It will become the intrinsic attribute. So, because they are all changing all the time and you are there to see what they're coming and going, none of these are intrinsic attribute of Atma. You're using logic, please understand, with pramana. Now, and this, so what then you understand that, okay, now if this changing entity I'm not, then who am I? You have to ask. So then, what the pramana does is to make you see there is an invariable presence which is chit, because of which you see what the changing nature of thoughts. There is, without that awareness, it is not possible. So that means through logic, what you come to know is that there is this invariable presence which you otherwise did not know. This is what we call chit, chit swarupa. Now, one thing that where you, until now you were right, one place where you made little mistake is, they are not two totally separate things. The relationship between mind and awareness is that of Satya Mithya. If there were two totally separate things, there will not, you can't have vision of oneness. So that means, what is the relationship between mind and awareness? You look at the thought. Any thought, can it exist in thought, tree thought, cow thought, mountain thought? Can it exist without awareness? No. So that means a thought is like the table, which is what that particular thought which is of a cow. The entire content of that thought is awareness. Then why do you call it a cow thought? Because there is a name and form in that thought which is what? Cow. So that means the relationship is, while the thought cannot exist without awareness, awareness is what? Independent of the thought. This is why 1 minute you can think of a cow thought, the next minute you think of a horse, cow is completely gone. It has not become intrinsic nature of awareness. So awareness as though keeps assuming many forms in form of thoughts. Thoughts cannot exist without awareness. Awareness is totally independent of thoughts. So this is how you arrive at this awareness which is independent of all attributes. Now, what you have done is, you have only come to know that there is this awareness which is independent of the mind, independent of the body, but this is not what Upanishad, that is not the only thing that Upanishad wants to show you. Upanishad wants to show you that this is true for everything.
Right.
Not only your, but here also, that body you take, then it is same thing. There is body, there is mind, and then there is what? Awareness. Then it also makes you see what? A force of the universe, which is what? Rudra in this case.
Yes.
In that Rudra force, there is what? There is this given power of destruction. Then there itself you see what? Ishvara. And then you also see what? Awareness. So now we are saying that awareness is available to you where? Not as an object. Where is it available to you? Self-evident time. Exactly. This is the whole methodology. The whole methodology works like that.
I think I understand it so far, but what to say when scientists are arguing, okay, all this is right, but awareness is a function of the mind.
Yeah, so that means, see, this is where I am saying, see, it's very easy to argue against that. Okay, your awareness may be function, let's suppose that there is, let's suppose that this little awareness is function of the mind, but you can't deny the fact that there is an intelligence which makes your mind what it is. That is something you can't deny. So that means that intelligence is there, and the relationship between that intelligence cannot exist without awareness. There is no inner thing which can have intelligence. So that means the logic is broken. Easy. This is why you need Ishvara. Because if only available intelligence was your intelligence, then you can always argue whether intelligence, whether awareness preceded this intelligence, or this awareness is product of that intelligence. I mean, of this few neurons coming together. But in fact, there is a much more fundamental intelligence in the universe before your mind comes into being. And that intelligence, which is the universe, the intelligence which makes every object in the universe what it is, it cannot exist without awareness. This is why this awareness precedes anything.
And the same is, I'm aware of all the changes.
Yes.
So now, how to show that this is not just yet another thought, not that I'm aware of all changes. So if it would be another thought like every other thought, it is not checked.
Yeah, but even that thought, even when you are thinking, that is made possible by awareness. See, you, when you are listening to Upanishad, thoughts are created in your mind. They are new thoughts. But the thoughts are about reality. They are indicating you something. That if this I am observer of the thought, this thought itself you would not have been able to observe unless there was awareness. Because this thought just came to your mind. This awareness is something which was there, which made you think about the horse before, it made you think about the cow before, now it is making you aware of this particular thought that is existing in your mind, that I am this invariable awareness. It's always there. So that means the thoughts will take place when you listen to Vedanta, but what it is showing you is what, while all the thoughts are taking place, there is one thing because of which you see even this thought, that where you are telling yourself that I am non-changing awareness. That is a thought, but there is something which is more fundamental. That thought will go away and give way to Gita thought. It will go away. The thought means it will go. But the meaning of the thought, if you have understood, it will not go. This is why your mind has to reach the reality. Through thoughts which are changing, you have to arrive at the truth of the thoughts. So this is how it is finally come down. See, Vedanta is not easy. Give it a time. Give it a thought. It's too clever. And therefore, think about it. Because, see, if you understood everything in the first class, then you'll all be wise people. So that means, but give it a thought. Use this logic to see what the truth is. Okay? So now, what in the next verse, it is summarizing what exactly is the purpose of Vedanta. So what now, because we started with what the Rudra, and then we saw Ishvara, and then we came to what this the truth, and that is what me. So what is the ultimate purpose of Vedanta? It says Vedantam Vedam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnatama Samparastata Vitranamrita Iha Bhavati Lanya Pantha Vidyate Nayanaya. So this is so beautiful that what the Tatparya, this is where I was saying, when you study Upanishad, it is talking about so many things. Now you have to figure out what is the ultimate vision of Vedanta. Because it's talking about you, it's talking about destructive force, it's talking about all kinds of different things. So what is it, where does it all culminate? That, because if you don't have, this is why you need a teacher. Otherwise what will happen, everything will remain as a scattered. You read one verse and it will create some meaning. You read the other verse and it will create some other meaning. But you don't know how does it all reconcile to make into one coherent vision. So this is what here he says, behind all these different logics and hundreds of shlokas that you are studying and all the different methodologies that you are using and all the different prakriyas and all these different practices that you are doing, you are asked to do to prepare yourself, what is the final thing that Vedanta is talking about? So here this verse describes it. Okay, so that is what? That so that there is only one Purusha. Where you see many, there is what? Only one. And what is that? That is something which is what? Luminous, and it is like the sun beyond darkness. And knowing this Purusha, one passes over death. And there is no other way to what? Cross over death. This is the final vision. This is moksha. No matter how much retaining this individuality, no matter what good deeds you do, you are within the cycle of birth and death. There is no way out. And we all live as one little entity. And we try to do our best to remove our subjectivities and to function in this world as appropriately as possible. This is a normal, what we call a good human being. Normal good human being means you want to look into your emotions, you want to look into your psychology, you want to look into your dharma, and if there are distortions, you just try to take care. So you function in this universe as a good, compassionate, caring human being. The goal of life ends there. For Vedanta, that is within the pursuit of dharma, it is not moksha. Moksha is another pursuit altogether. You can't mix the two. In order to get moksha, dharma is indispensable, but following dharma alone is not moksha. This is the relationship. Dharma becomes the foundation through which you prepare yourself for moksha. Moksha, the whole subject matter is different. When you follow dharma, what is your conclusion? I am this individual and everything is what? Separate from me. That is your orientation. And if you believe, then you can say, I believe or I don't believe in Ishvara. And even if you so-called believe in Ishvara, Ishvara is now another entity. This is our orientation. Vedanta makes us give up that orientation and make us see what the vision of oneness. When you see many, there is only one. There is only one reality. So, does it not contradict my perception? Because my perception gives me data that there is many. So, if Vedanta as a pramana contradicts my other pramana, which is perception, Vedanta will be what? Not valid means of knowledge. So Vedanta has a very big job to show you that this vision of oneness is not, it does not contradict perception. Very important. How does it show you that it does not contradict perception? It makes you see something more than what you can arrive at with perception. It is like a journey of a wave. The wave's eyes are programmed to see what? Other waves. And the entire living of a wave is interacting with other waves. And the definition of a good life is what? I'm kind to other waves. I don't get jealous of other waves. I'm content with what I feel. This is the definition. This is the paradigm within which a wave operates. And continues to operate for lifetimes to come. Now, Vedanta as a pramana makes you see it without, so wave still sees another wave. That is not changed. But while seeing the other wave, the person is made to understand the presence of the ocean. Seeing the wave, person is made to understand the presence of the ocean. Now, when one's understanding shifts to ocean, please understand, you move from duality to non-duality. Please understand. Because instead of many waves, you see what? One ocean within which all the waves exist. You move from the vision of many to one. So by accepting Ishvara, we are not creating